Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again in Prehistoric Kingdom. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're working on the Ouranosaurus exhibit. I mentioned in the cave bear video I wanted to do a coastal habitat, so after that video I did some researching and looking and settled on this species for this specific area. While I think I did a good job on it, I didn't quite realize how much redwood and pine type trees would fit into the coastal theme. My imagination would always conjure some palm tree infested beach and too much sand. Either way, I ended up using the Ouranosaurus's preference for tropical, coastal, and grassland themes to close off the waterway area a little bit. In this video, you can see the changes to the massive hill I made between videos, and with those changes, I tried to create the image of a branch of the lake from above draining into a ledge that creates this fast-moving waterfall feeding a small floodplain and feeds a set of rivers to the Ouranosaurus and Spinosaurus exhibits. Sadly, we cannot blend rough water and calm water, so I had to hide the seam where they meet with trees in the Ouranosaurus habitat. It turned out much nicer than I thought it would. For the ledge, I started building it very close to the hillside, but it wasn't producing the imagery I had wanted. I wanted it to be a far-leaning ledge that spilled water down very far, enough to start eroding away some of the land below. So I ended up pulling the rocks away and building towards the hillside. I used the duplication and fine movement system, so it created this copy and pasted effect that I had to try and cover up, and add extra fine details. Sadly, the moss and vines fade into the rock as you move away from it, so I didn't get too heavy with them, just enough that adds some nice texture when viewed specifically. Adding the trees back over the top was a bit more of a challenge. I wanted the top to be densely covered, but I was hoping to avoid placing that many trees one by one. So I tried a few things to allow me to use the brush, but sadly they wouldn't work. The brush doesn't seem to want to let me use it on scenery pieces. Possibly from a setting I missed, now that I think of it, but either way, at the time it wasn't working. So I did end up doing a bunch of foliage one by one up top, and I hope I did it justice. Placing the waterfalls, I tried to give it the appearance of very fast and powerful flow, and I didn't hit the mark on that one. I could go back and just add more to it, but I worry that many special effects might start causing issues with gameplay. We also have yet another bridge over a river for this one, and I just used a prefab item for this one with some minor adjustments. I like it a lot, and using the prefabs like this really shows how powerful the ability to resize items is. It's a tool I look over quite a lot, but should really employ more often. When I placed down the enclosure fencing, I realized I once again made a habitat way too massive for what the animal needs, and I suspect that this is an issue that will carry on until I head into a challenge mode zoo and promptly go bankrupt from having to pay land taxes. I might go back in and reclaim the space between this enclosure and the Spino enclosure for more guest needs, as I've been ignoring them a lot lately. Also, I was surprised a dinosaur this large had just a 2.5 meter fence and medium security. Hopefully we don't end up like some other unnamed fictional zoo. I once again employed the use of the forestation brush for a few of the areas, and one spot where I tested if I could use it for something specific, but it didn't work exactly the way I had intended. I'll try playing with it more in between videos. But speaking of the brush, I had a really hard time interacting with the terrain brush for this habitat. I struggled so bad trying to get the painting done, it feels just when I start learning how it works, it shows me I'm wrong. And I was so disappointed and frustrated. Maybe I should invest some time into watching tutorials for it. I also provided the species with some sleeping area and a viewing platform on one side, because I don't plan on having anything more on that side of the land, but it's easily workable if I do end up having stuff over there. I had to bring one of the dinosaurs out to get the right size of sleeping area, So the creation of them is in the middle of the time-lapse, sadly, and because I forgot it was there, I forgot to clip it to a different part of the video, and we don't get to see it in regular speed, sadly. I know a few people really enjoy that part. I'll be sure to pay more attention to my clips in the future. Before I leave you all to enjoy the rest of the video, I do want to let you all know in the next few weeks I'll be starting a mini-series for Prehistoric Kingdom, in an attempt to practice with some of the building tools and maybe get better in general at building. It will be a small, fantasy-themed zoo, so if you have any ideas for that you'd like to see me attempt, please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out my community area and my posts for upcoming votes about new series information. Thank you all for watching.
Just look at that! This sailback dinosaur is Ouranosaurus, an ornithopod related to both the thumb-spiked iguanodonts and the duck-billed hadrosaurs. It might be difficult to imagine having to haul around such an impressive structure on your back, but the spines of ornithischian dinosaurs were stiff and strong thanks to a criss-crossing lattice that supported their vertebrae made out of ossified tendons. Literally, tendons that turned into bone. I wouldn't get too close though. Just like its iguanodontian cousins, the thumbs of Ouranosaurus sport a sharp conical claw. When they're feeling feisty, they come out swinging like a boxer. Why the long face? Even though it isn't quite a hadrosaur, Ouranosaurus has a remarkably long hadrosaur-like face. The beak and snazzy little crest really complete the rest of the look.